So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I know everybody is reading so much about data, right, and analytics and everything, but corporations and analysts have been building and analyzing data for decades. But sadly, most companies are really slow to trade in their antiquated legacy methods of gathering data for the most innovative, effective technologies. Surprisingly, today, most teams are spending 90% of their time gathering data and only 10% of their time analyzing it. Imagine how successful and competitive your company would be if you were spending 1% of your time gathering the data and 99% of your time analyzing. Right, this is a total game changer. As a result of today's fast-moving and quickly changing economic environment, highly successful organizations understand that data is really the new competitive battleground. Data visualizations are providing really X-ray vision into your data. They're enabling you to see through the noise, identify patterns, trends, outliers, etc. In today's session, Ben and I are going to demonstrate how NetSuite, Power BI, and a comprehensive data model can dramatically expand your analysis capabilities, and then see how creating interactive reports and dashboards can provide actionable insights. So during this session, Ben's going to demonstrate live examples of management operating statements like income statements, balance sheets, expense reports, etc., and as of aging and dashboards for accounts payable and accounts receivable. So got some really good stuff today. For those of you who are not familiar with Preferred Strategies, we've been an innovator and a thought leader in the business intelligence and data analytics space for over 20 years now. Our QuickLaunch information engine is proven to deliver really the perfect balance of friendly and empowering innovative functionality, near real-time data access, and the IT and governance in a single source of truth across your data sources. So our solution is really the vehicle that's going to transport your organization to the next level of success. So before we get started and jump in, I want to just do a little bit of education. You'll see on the right side of the GoToWebinar platform, there's a questions section. So as we're going through our presentation today, if you have any questions, just type those in that Q&A questions section. And then at the end, we'll go ahead and cover all of the questions. So type that in there. Ben and I will answer that at the end. So that's just a little bit of housekeeping we had. I'm going to introduce Ben, but then I'm going to talk for another second here. But Ben Harrison, he's our Vice President of Product Management. He's going to be actually showing you in our software, our QuickLaunch software today, how we work closely with NetSuite and use Power BI as a visualization choice. So he's going to do that. But first, I want to talk about the slide that we have up. You know, what is our purpose, right? What's our purpose here at Preferred Strategies? And our role as an advisor with our customers. You know, we believe that in order for organizations to be successful, they must turn their data into decision-ready information that's easily consumed across the organization. It enables intelligent and strategic decision-making by every employee. We also believe that technology matters, and that in order to be successful now and in the future, you need to select the best technology partner. We believe that empowering employees to make smarter decisions today is going to lead to your business successes of tomorrow. And most importantly, you know, we believe that failure is not an option. In our market, in the data analytics and business intelligence market, there is an 80% failure rate. 80% of these projects fail, which is why people are so scared to move forward. But here at Preferred Strategies, we deliver a customer success rate of 96%. So failure is not an option for us. We are going to partner with our clients to make sure that you are able to successfully access, understand, and use your data strategically. All right, Ben, why don't you go to the next slide? Just a little bit about visualization choices, right? There's so many options out there when it comes to data visualization. But Power BI and the Microsoft platform has been in the pole position in the Gartner's Leader Quadrant for the past 14 years. and it's been the #1 choice for the past 5 years. You know, Power BI really offers the most cutting-edge visualization functionality. It has AI technologies infused throughout the platform, creating really a revolutionary analytics experience. And what I think is one of the most important things, it is committed to constant innovation. They're constantly releasing new functionality, updates, and enhancements, and you have to select a technology partner that is forward thinking, or you're going to be in the past. So that just gives you a little bit of information before we get started. But Ben, I'm going to pass it over to you now.
Okay, thanks, Jill. So I got one more slide to talk about because it really is kind of important to understand what am I showing and what are you seeing as we talk about NetSuite and preferred strategies, and particularly Power BI. So preferred strategies doesn't sell Power BI, that's a Microsoft product. We do sell this governed data model. So that's represented by the blue cube, or a set of blue cubes here. And what we're really trying to say is that, you know, to really analyze your data, you want to kind of transform it into an analytics sort of capability. And I'll show you specifically what that looks like. But we'll take your NetSuite data, we'll take other data, even, you know, a CRM data, really any sort of data, and kind of organize it and structure it so that it's built and ready for analysis. There's a lot of strengths you get out of this. That blue cube then is governed, it's in memory. End users who are slicing or dicing through it to try to get insights into what's changed, what's the correlation, what's the trend. They get very, very quick responses because the blue cube's created. The other thing it does allow is connecting to that data from really any sort of analytics tool. The Microsoft stack is particularly good. We love Power BI, but there's paginated reports. We have a sample of that, or you can even connect using Excel and some of the built-in Excel functions to access that data. So we're going to be talking about the blue cube, and to get started, I'm going to move over to Power BI. So right now, I'm looking at a Power BI screen. Just to kind of clarify, Power BI in Microsoft is not a single product. It's really an ecosystem. So I'm looking at the Power BI web service. There's another component that's a free download. It's called the Power BI desktop. So you can download the Power BI desktop and start creating reports today. And it's really a cool tool. It's free. But if you want to start sharing reports with other people, you publish reports to this Power BI service. And once you publish and want to share, that's when Microsoft's going to want to start charging money for the benefit of Power BI. So really, it's a software as a service platform that allows you to collaborate across the web. And I'll show you some examples of this, you know, this web platform, and even accessing the same reports through my phone. Could be a tablet as well. I'm going to start with a general ledger report, just because I think that's a good idea, a good place where people think of. So I've got in this Power BI service on the home page, I've got a shortcut to a report that I've been using earlier today. So I open that up, and I have in Power BI a report. It's actually multiple pages. So this is a general ledger report, but it's got information about revenue, expenses, gross profit, net income. Got another copy of expenses. I'm gonna, though, before I walk through some of these pages, let's just talk about that blue cube. I'm gonna edit this report. And what that blue cube is that was represented before is really all this data that's on the left-hand side, right? So it's a bunch of tables. The tables are dimension tables, which are things like account or category or class or entity or department. And then there's, in this particular case, there's 3 fact tables, GL balances. So that's numbers out of the general ledger, out of the transaction table in NetSuite. There's accounts receivable and accounts payable tables. And I'll again show you examples of all that. But let's start again looking at general ledger. So I'm going to create a new page just from scratch. I'm editing, I'm creating a new report. And what I might start with is maybe accounts. I might want to say, well, let's look at accounts and descriptions, and quickly I can get a pretty quick list of the accounts here. But if I wanted to now see maybe some numbers about that, one of the elements of our model is this calendar feature. So I can pick a calendar timing and slice and dice based upon this year, last year, prior year, and there's a great power in having a built-in calendar in this model. I'm going to pick fiscal. We have multiple calendar types. Maybe there's a January through December, or fiscal might be any other time period of April through March or July through June. But if I put year period out here, and that's the list of all the years and periods in the calendar that we've put, I'm going to turn that into a slicer. So really quickly, I just kind of resize it here. And because it's a slicer, I can have different styles there, and I like the drop down. So drop down means if I was going to pick a year period, I might go down to 2019 period 8, and I picked a year, but I don't have any data yet. So let's go get some information about that general ledger data. I might want to go look at actuals because I'm just looking at accounts. I might just say, well, give me an actual amount inception to date. So again, this blue cube, this model has thousands of measures like this predefined so that it's easy for an end user to kind of make their own report. And that's one thing we believe. We talked about what we believe in data being the battleground. You need to give this power of analytics to your end users. You have to take it away from or expand it from beyond the people in maybe IT who control this. IT needs to enable end users to kind of do some self-help. So I've got actual amount inception to date. And now also I might want to look at maybe what was it last year. So I'm looking at actual amount prior year inception to date. And right away I get kind of both of them together. Real simple, real easy. I've created a starting report without any coding. I didn't have to worry about formulas. They're just all set and built, pre-built for me. One of the beautiful things about Power BI is the ability to quickly try out different visuals. And one of the things we will do as we go through an implementation is help people to understand what visuals work well for what type of look. So it's Microsoft. I'm going to go Control C, Control V. I just made a copy of that visual, and I'll put it over here, the copy, and I might start looking at different charts. Which charts make sense? I don't really care for that one. Well, that one's nice, but I kind of want it in this other order, maybe a side-by-side bar chart by cost type ordered by magnitude of current year, actual year to date. So again, very quickly, I've built some a chart that actually gives me some numbers and some variations. I can sort and order this, and I can choose lots of other visuals. There are neat times when you want to use a waterfall chart. I'll show you the examples of that, or a scatter chart. All these are kind of easily built and collected quickly. The point about this is a data model provides a real great foundation for analytics and starting to become self-serving, not self-serving, but self-service in report creation. Jill, if people have questions as we're going along, please interrupt me, but otherwise I'll just keep on going.
Okay.
I get excited about showing this type of data.
Absolutely, keep on going.
Okay, so I'm not going to save my work here. I just wanted to show you this data model, that blue cube. That's the idea. This is what Preferred Strategies builds, these blue cubes. That's represented by this pane in the right. So I'm going to go back to the reading view and talk about some of the features that you get when you're using that. So one of the things that people do like is the idea of maybe a big splash screen with KPIs. In this case, I can look at revenue month to date, quarter to date, year to date, gross profit as well, net income, it could be expenses, but really get a quick view of where should I be paying attention to. It looks like I've got some month to date issues, particularly with gross profit. I'm going to want to dig into that a little bit more. Let's go, I'm going to end up at expenses, but let's just look at revenue real quick. So here I've got a page of this one report that's devoted to revenue, and I've got revenue actual amount. You notice these little selected. What that means is I can change this time filter, and this is important to me. I did analytics at a construction company for 18 years, and I was in charge of looking for what's changed, why are things different. And you see certain things during a year-to-date look, but I might want to change that and say, well, let's look at that by quarter to date. So this is where I'm selecting what I want to see on the screen. So I see different trends, different elements going, changing, or even at month to date. And so that's where the beauty of analysis, the beauty of that blue cube being in memory, is I can quickly toggle between these. I can even change the month or the year and say, well, show me what it was last month. Show me what it was, 2 months ago. And this is where you're changing all that data really quickly to get insights, to find that trend, just to find that correlation. Besides seeing these summaries, I'm seeing summaries of revenue. I might even be looking at summaries of expenses. In this case, I've got that year-to-date look of expenses. Again, I could have gone back to month-to-date or quarter-to-date, but I do notice that I've got a big variance. Waterfall charts are great for variances, and this is what I'm seeing here is that my expense variance actual to prior year is 1.9 million for this particular company, PS Tech company. Notice that when I hover over that, I get a lot more information there. Those are called tooltips. So I've got the actual red bars, the negative 1.9 million, but I actually can see the total expenses, the variance percent, the amount last year, and the amount compared to budget, right? So now I'm getting a lot more context of not just that's red, but what's driving that? How close is it? The magnitude matters, that percentage matters. So I can see all that because visualizations aren't only about the number you see, but the kind of the numbers that surround it are important. So this is aggregated. I wonder, well, what is that? What's driving that? So I might right click and drill down. When I drill down, I go, in this case, I've built this hierarchy. Everyone builds a hierarchy to what they want to see, but I'm looking now at a specific account and description. Eventually, you want to drill through to the transactions because the answer to what's wrong, what I'm looking for, is in these detailed transactions. Now, my data set has just a single journal entry line here that's driving that variance. But the idea is that if there's something misposted, if there was some error, something that did not get reversed that should have been, this is where I'm going to find the answer to my question about what's wrong with my variance. And the beautiful thing about that drill down as well is I can always see the details. I can trust the summary because the details are visible to me. I can always go through and see what was driving that. And when I do that, I have confidence that my report's correct. And I can start maybe trusting it to take action. So drilling down and drilling through are really important elements that depth of data model brings to you. A couple others. So we've looked, just briefly here at, some general ledger information. One of the things that people do like is the idea of these account hierarchies. So built into the model, if I'm looking at accounts again in general ledger, I might be looking at balance sheet hierarchies of assets to current assets. So these structures of how you might want to analyze your balance sheet are built into the model. That way you can use this analysis again in Power BI. You could actually build the exact same type of look in Excel. And the beautiful thing about that is if I build a quick trial balance in Excel and Jill builds a similar look in Power BI, because that's the tool she's trying to use, we'll get the same number because we're looking at the same data set. That blue cube is one version of the truth. So if we're looking at cash balance for 2020 period 1, I'm looking at it in Excel, Jill's looking at it in Power BI, we will get the same number all the time. So it eliminates those fights of, well, my report says this and your report says that. And I've been involved in a lot of those types of scenarios before. So we've been looking here at a report called General Ledger that's sitting in a workspace in Power BI. And one of the beautiful things about Power BI is you got this idea of validating who's here. I'm Ben Harrison at Preferred Strategies. That's how I logged in. And that drives what can I see, what can I do. I can do a lot of things. I'm an owner of these workspaces, so I can add reports, I can edit reports, I can choose what to do, who gets to see them. But most people are going to log in and look at reports using what's called an app. So I'm in a workspace. Every workspace has an app. This app is up here. I'm in this demo NetSuite workspace. So if I go to the app listing and I was just an average user, I would log in and I'd see this demo NetSuite app and I can pull in, and this is what I'll see. I'll see that same report, I can see the key metrics, I can see the expenses, I can do the right click, I can drill down, but I cannot make changes to this report. I can do any of that inquiry, drill down, follow through. So it becomes a really great platform for managing who gets to see what, because I define who gets to look at these. And even in that blue cube, I can create row level security so that I can say that Jill can see companies 1 and 2, I can see companies 3 and 5, or maybe I can see all companies. So there's all sorts of layers of security that can be built into this. One of the other things that's happening in the Power BI world in this like tenant is you can change some of the things you do to collaborate. So for instance, I use this comment all the time. I might be looking at a report and saying, why are we over budget? I can come up here and say to Jill at Jill Rowe and say, can you help, why are we over budget? Now, I'm going to send this, and Jill's going to get a little email on her phone, and she's also going to get a little notice up here. She happens to be in Power BI saying, hey, what's going on? The beautiful thing, the thing we like about this is these notes are here. So if it was an AR agent is going to the 60-day budget, 60-day column, and Jill said, I'll look right into it. Next week, when we come back and look at that again, our notes are here, our collaboration is here within the reporting platform. So I don't have to go look at some paper that I wrote it on or find an email that I wrote it on. It's all tight here, so we're collaborating. Another element that I really like is the subscribe. I can subscribe to reports. This is important to me. I used to have to send out the reports to the project managers at the company I worked for. Some wanted that I'm on Monday, some on Wednesday. There's a whole bursting capability of you get this part of that report, you get that part of the report. Because I have built-in security to this platform and people can subscribe on their own, I can decide when do I get the report. I can change when I get to the report. I can actually come in here and get the report if I didn't even subscribe to it. So it just changes how do people get the data and when they get the data, and there's no excuses anymore about, well, you forgot to send that report to me. So I really like the subscribe part of this. Another element, and we'll talk about this a little bit when we wrap up, but this idea of getting insights. That blue cube is sitting in memory and is now accessible by machine learning and artificial intelligence algorithms. That is, I used to think that type of capabilities was the realm of NetSuite or Amazon. The other day, my wife ordered something at 10 and it showed up here at 11:30. I wonder how they do that. Well, they have artificial intelligence and machine learning in terms of what's being bought where. That type of idea is available to companies now who are using the right tool. We said in the beginning, the tool choices you make matter. And so building this to where you can start taking advantage of some of those functionalities that are actually available to you today is one of the things that really drives us as a company of expanding your business intelligence capabilities, probably beyond what you were imagining was possible. So we talked a bit about reports, about insights, about some of the features and functions and how that blue cube helps Power BI help you more. I just do want to look at really quickly at some of the other features of the model. So we've been looking at the general ledger report so far, but we do have also an accounts payable report where you might be looking at what our customers like about this is trying to identify, payment trends, looking at lost discounts, looking for, even, processing of double invoices, being double invoiced and catching that type of item. There is an idea of aging and even of as of aging. So I can go back and look at a vendor and I can say, well, in 2017 in June, this is what my aging was. What was that amount? Maybe even the month before, right? So I look at June. What was it in May? Right. So this as of aging is a really powerful ability to be able to kind of snapshot and understand what were those changes of payments over time and what didn't get paid, and even down to if you're doing some approval tracking, who's holding up the processing of invoices. And that for the company I've worked for was a really big deal in terms of a cash flow analysis and making sure we understood what our liabilities and our assets were. Beyond accounts payable, we have accounts receivable. Very similarly, you might be looking at invoices sent to owners. We do find people paying a lot of attention to the idea of their as of aging on receivables, who owes us money, what's going into the 61 to 90 day column. This would be something of concern to me. How come they haven't paid me? It's $953,000. And besides seeing the number, again, that idea that I can drill through to see the invoice details or the aging details gets you down to the answer of what's going on with that balance, who's in charge of it. And as before, I can start sending out comments to people saying, hey, again, if it's Jill, I keep on picking on Jill. Jill, what's going on? How come that's in the 61 to 90 day column? What are you going to do to fix that? And then we have that here next week. If it's still in that column, we have those notes. So these are kind of standard Power BI reports. Again, some of this look and capability is available. Likewise, if I was connecting to the same data set in Excel. But one of the other tools that Microsoft's done a really good job with is these paginated reports. It's actually the technology that was behind what they used to have as SQL Server reporting services, so SSRS reports. In this case, I again have the year period. I'm going to need to pick a subsidiary. I could have currency consolidation. I could report in local currency, or in this case, my consolidating currency is US dollars. I'll leave it at that. And I might have even multiple budgets. Maybe I got the original budget, I got the first quarter forecast and the second quarter forecast. So you can have kind of a forecast or a budget category here that you can start then comparing these two. But if I go and look and view this report, it's going to go out and create that pixel perfect report that typically you're thinking of, oh, this is what I send to my bank. This is what I need for my surety, or the shareholders are going to see this type of detail, but beyond this type of summary. But beyond the summary, again, this is built on that blue cube. The details are underneath the numbers. So if I expand revenue, I can see, well, what is that revenue? It's store sales. Well, what is the store sales? Well, it's built into the tech company and the oil and gas company. Well, what's happening in the tech company? And as I drill down, this is where I'm getting to the actual details of that's driving that. And as before, the number I get here is going to be identical to the number I get if I'm looking in a standard Power BI report, or if I'm looking in even in Excel, because it's one data model. We really are serious about that idea that this is the one version of the truth that everyone's reading. All the reports are built on that blue cube, so that now you have consistency and no disagreements about what the numbers are. You're all singing from the same songbook. So balance sheet, income statement. I did say I was going to show you one more thing here, and if I go back to my general ledger report and I look at this particular report, again, this is published to the web. I can access this data from anywhere that I have a web connection. But likewise, if I pull up my phone, I'm doing that now, and I'm going to share my phone screen on here. It takes just a second to pop up. Here's my phone. There we go, mirroring down. But if I open up the Power BI app, this is the little app right here. You can see I've got it installed. You can download it for free again. But here's that same type of look. But I'm going to go to this general ledger report, not the dashboard. I'm sorry. I need to go back to where I've got my general ledger report. And that's not the right, I apologize, that's not the report I meant to look for. I'm looking for this report. Okay, so what I'm trying to show is that I've got this report here. I'm looking at a different month in here, but it's the same report. I can actually then look at this, and I've formatted this to look good on a phone. But if I turn my phone sideways, I actually get the same report that I would have had if I was in the web service. So again, the idea that I need to have my computer with me as opposed to just having my phone, the reports are the same, the numbers are the same, the inquiries can be the same. So you don't need to maybe wait to get back to your office. You can start replying quicker, and that's the same data set, same data sources. So we do find that people do like the idea of the reports being much more portable, and that's one of the things that Power BI is bringing. There's a lot more features I could show. I'm going to kind of stop showing features and try to do some wrapping up here. And let me stop sharing my screen as well, because maybe you don't want to see that all the time. So we've been in an app workspace. We've been in where we wrote some reports. So why is this important to us? So I'm going to go back to my slideshow and just kind of summarize this. So we've been talking about what is this blue cube? This is what preferred strategies sells, and what does it do for you in terms of deploying reports and analyzing it. But specifically, why preferred strategies for NetSuite? And here's some of the thoughts that we have. One is that many companies today currently have the Office 365 suite. Power BI is part of that. They're using Power BI in other applications in their company, and you've centered on Power BI as being the analytic solution for your company. So this is the ability to say, okay, let's get my NetSuite data into Power BI, so it's going to be just like everything else, and that cube can be other data sources. So that's that second bullet point. Is most companies, most of our customers need more than just their ERP. So they want NetSuite and Salesforce, or NetSuite and Wonderware, or NetSuite and some other data source. NetSuite's a wonderful system. It has a lot of depth and breadth, but most of the companies that come to us say, oh, even though I got my NetSuite data here, I also have this and I need to merge it. That might include Internet of Things data. It might be just weather data. It might be interest rates. It could be anything. But the idea that I'm start merging data and I need to analyze my entire enterprise beyond just NetSuite. We do find our customers telling us that saved searches provide some restrictions to what you can do. So our model is actually replicating data into a kind of a data store, an optimized data store. That means that I get that really quick response, that drill down, that capability, and I'm not having to do maybe multiple saved searches to get that. And then, as I mentioned, having that replicated data elsewhere in the right format is where you're going to start getting that artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities that are going to be important to companies as we go forward. So this has been a really quick, high-level talk about Power BI, NetSuite, and where does QuickLaunch by Preferred Strategies kind of marry those two together. Do we have, Jill, do we have any particular questions or anything's come up that we should address?
Yeah, absolutely. You did a great job, so thank you so much for being so thorough. You actually covered one of the questions. So one of the questions was, can you handle other data sources outside of NetSuite? So you talked a little about that. One of the other questions we have is there an out-of-the-box kind of like packet of reports, dashboards, etc.? And then do you handle custom tables, and can you customize the reports and dashboards going forward?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So again, we see ourselves as a long-term partner. We create a product called QuickLaunch at this blue cube that we're talking about. Every perspective in that, so think about general ledger's perspective and AR and APR perspectives in that blue cube. We have sample reports for each one of those, and we looked at some of those a little bit. Let me get out of here again and go back to a workspace here. So I'm going to go to the NetSuite demo workspace and just talk a little bit about that. So we have sample reports for accounts payable, accounts receivable, and our samples come free with our installation. We'll configure them. So if you're using specific subsidiaries or departments, we'll configure these reports out of the box, but they're your reports. and you're going to change them, you're going to add to them, you're going to expand them. You're going to expand to that data model. So if you look at, we've been talking about the data model and what it looks like. And if I look maybe at just the general ledger portion of that data model, this is where we had that fact table that I was dragging actual inception to date, prior year inception to date, and it's surrounded by the calendar and the location, all those dimensions. So this is the general ledger perspective, and you might add tables to this, you might add fields to this, and that's fine. We'll teach you how, or if you just want help, we'll do it for you at your request. But the real model that we're talking about is this, right? So this is where general ledger, AR, and AP are all linked together by any common elements, by entity, by location. So I can start actually creating reports that cross entities. I can look at GL and AP data at the same time. This becomes really good, really useful when you start trying to do some, looking for problems between the two, you're doing reconciliations, because the model is one. And I feel like that's a long answer to your question. The short answer is, yes, we have sample out-of-the-box reports, and we would expect they become a foundation, but that you continue to build them yourselves going forward and expand them.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Next question is, what about security? Since this deals with general ledger, AP, and AR, can you restrict people from seeing certain data or modules or tables if they don't have that security clearance?
That is a great question. So again, there's a couple different ways to restrict that level. One is by maybe workspace, right? So if we talked a little bit about workspace security, and I've got maybe a demo, or maybe I have an accounts payable workspace, and I let people see that. So you can control that security by workspace, but you can also, in that blue cube, control it by row level security. So I could say, even though I've got accounts payable, Jill, you can see all the invoices for these vendors or these companies or for these subsidiaries, and I can see maybe other ones. So that's, again, a longer answer to say, yes, you can have security in many, many different ways, and it's going to be configured to suit your company the best.
Okay, great. Just two more questions. One question would be, does the data model, does it reside on premise or can it be in the cloud?
It can be either one. Most of our customers are now deploying that data model replication into an Azure location, so we're replicating it to an Azure space. That could be a SQL Server, a managed instance, or even a data lake, a data brick. So those are part of when we walk through the configuration. We're going to figure out, where do you want that data to sit. The actual when that Power BI data set, when it's loaded, is sitting in Microsoft's Azure world. So the end result is data in Microsoft's cloud, and that's part of what they're charging the $10 a month for, or $20 per month for premium. And that pricing all depends on your Office 365 licensing.
Okay, great. And then this is our last question. How long does it take from start to finish? If our organization wants to get started with you, we have our first kickoff meeting. When can I expect the QuickLaunch platform to actually be live within our company?
So it should be about a 10-week process. So what we do find is that if you have some Azure capabilities are ready, that if it's up and running and that it's ready to go, we can be loaded and you can be trained, and you can have your reports working in about 10 weeks. Some companies need a little bit of help with that, setting up that Azure environment. That might take a week or two, but once the environment's set, we're 10 weeks from start to end.
Okay, great, super quick. That's all the questions I have. If anybody has any other questions, you can obviously still type them in the question section. We'll get those. If you're interested in learning more information about how QuickLaunch works with NetSuite, definitely reach out, let us know. Our email address is info@preferredstrategies.com. You can also just go to our website and hit the request information button. You could call the 800 number. So many ways to reach us, right? But get in contact with us. We'd love to chat with you, talk about what you're currently doing at your company, what pains, issues you might be having, or even just what super high level goals that you have, and then have a good conversation about how we can help you get there. So thanks so much. Thanks, Ben, to you, and we hope everybody has a great day.